On Monday, talking and posing the question of whether you actually believe what God says. Now, how do we know what God's will is, what his heart is, what his thoughts are, what he actually says? We learn that and we gain that from reading in the Bible. We hear his words. We let him speak to us. Let him speak to you personally, individually. There's so much of his heart expressed in these pages. This is brought into communion fellowship with him because it's knowing him. It's about drawing closer and hearing his voice. You hear his voice here, but you hear his voice in your own spirit, within you, because he speaks. But I want to take this a little bit deeper in the sense of, how do I reconcile what he says, what I know he says, and what it seems like and it feels like to me? I've struggled with this in the past many times. It's still something that tries to get in at times, to say, okay, God, you say this. You express this, that you are pleased. You express your love, but I just don't feel worthy. I don't feel that way. Let's see, how do we negotiate that discrepancy and that tension? Because it's real. We all experience it. So we're going to look at two verses in Hebrews chapter 13, verses 15 and 16. And we're going to take these verses, and begin to say, this is the way that I go from. I know he says this, but how it seems to me, how things look and what I'm feeling, I'm struggling with believing it because it doesn't match up. So let's see what he says here in these verses. Hebrews 13, verse 15. And remember, he's just gone through and telling us about the perfection of Jesus' sacrifice. How the priests in the old covenant would bring sacrifices and offerings all the time, every day, all the time. And he tells us that we go forth in him. That's actually verse 13. And maybe yours says to him, but it's really this word that can be in him, through him, with him. Again, no separation, okay? And so, thinking about all these sacrifices that the priests in the old covenant gave, he says in verse 15, so therefore, this is concluding, therefore, by him, in him, through him, because of him, with him, let us continually, that's at all times, all the time, offer the sacrifice of praise to God. So he's comparing now. They used to sacrifice animals. We have another sacrifice that we bring. And he calls it the sacrifice of praise. And praise here is also, it is thanksgiving. It's praise and thanksgiving go together. And you can look for where in the Psalms, David talks about sacrifices of praise and thanksgiving. You see it in Jeremiah. It shows up here. He says that we therefore, all the time, continually, by him, through him, in him, to him, we bring all the time, continually, the sacrifice of praise to God. That is, he's going to explain it, that is the fruit of our lips giving thanks to his name. And remember, his name is a representation of his very character and his nature. Actually, I'm going to stop on that verse right there. Just stick with that. Bringing the sacrifices of praise, continually offering thanksgiving. What does this mean? And how does that relate to solving that contradiction that seems to happen between what I'm feeling and the way it seems and what he says? Okay, here it is. He is the truth. What he says is true. It's not determined. It's not subject to how you feel. If God says it, I read it in the Bible, he speaks it in my spirit, it is true. Period. What do? I'm going to take what he says over what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what my circumstances are telling me at all times. That is the sacrifice. It requires me to give up something. It requires me to merely grab a hold of what he said. He's a father that says, you are precious to me. I don't feel precious. But he says I am precious to him. What do I do? Lord, thank you that I am precious to you. You know how I feel right on this moment. But you declare that I am precious, that you love me, and that you are for me. And I thank you that you are for me, you are with me, you never leave me, I am not alone. This is the sacrifice of praise and thanksgiving. I'm going to take his word, I'm going to take the truth, and I'm going to thank him for that truth. And I'm going to declare it is true, especially when I feel different. That is the sacrifice of praise that we give to him in thanksgiving all the time in all circumstances. This is communion. This is prayer. This is how I reconcile the contradiction between what I feel and my circumstances are saying and what God declares, which is true. Because what my feelings say, they're real, but they're not always true. He is true.